So I've been doing a lot of photo editing on my iPad. I have been using Snapseed. It is an app that is actually also available on Macs and PCs, but I've been using it on my iPad, like I said, because I can touch it and play with it, and I like that. And the whole point of it for me is that I don't have to sit down in front of my computer. I can be anywhere I want with my iPad, and I can actually edit photos. And I can actually edit photos. It's really flexible. It's pretty awesome. So let me get onto my iPad and show you guys all of the different features and the filters and stuff that you can use on it. Let's talk about what this area is first. Obviously, here's your photo. And then you have a compare button. That allows you to check out your changes, but then compare it to your original photo. So what you would do is you just press and hold it, and you would be able to see your original photo when you're pressing and holding it. Right now we haven't made any changes, obviously, so it looks the same. There's a revert little button, and that is for reverting your image back to the original. There's a save button that will save your image to the photo library. And then there's a share button. When you click that, you can share your edited image via email, you can print it, or Flickr, Facebook, or Twitter it. So now let's go over to the exciting stuff. It's all on this side. These are all of the different adjustments and filters that you can do up and down here. Let's talk about automatic first, this autocorrect. I have really not used this all that much. However, let me show you what it does. Now, first, you'll see down here, this is what you are adjusting. This is always what you're adjusting, whatever it says in this little window right here. So right now we're adjusting contrast correction. To do an adjustment to contrast correction, you just swipe left and right. That's always what you're going to do when you need to adjust something, is swipe left and right. However, that's not the only thing you can do in autocorrect. You can also go to color correction. When you're in each of these adjustment areas, you can swipe up and down to move between the different adjustments that you can do within that area. You always swipe left and right to adjust whatever it is in this window down here, and up and down to change the actual adjustment setting that you're using. So again, color correction, again, you're going to go left and right. So when you're done doing your adjustments, you can either hit undo if you don't want what you just did. You can hit apply, which will apply any corrections that you have done, and then you can move on to other corrections, or you can move on to saving it. Or you can hit the back button. Oh, and by the way, there's a compare button here as well. So if we press and hold it, that's my original image, and letting it go, that's my edited image. I don't want to keep any of these changes, so I'm going to hit the back button. That takes me back to my settings. Next, we have Selective Adjust. This section is for adjusting only certain parts of your image. So what you need to do first is decide what it is that you want to adjust and go to the Add button. This is going to add a control point. So let's say I just want to adjust my face. You saw that there was kind of a big blue circle that came up. If I don't want that circle to be so big, I just use the classic two-finger pinch technique, and I can make it smaller. If it's still not quite right, I can actually move around the point after I've already put it down by just pressing it and moving it around. So let's say I want to add another one. I can add another point just by going to Add and adding another point, and I can move it around, make it bigger or smaller, just like the other one. But each of these points I can adjust separately. So if I want to go back to my first one, let's see, I just click on it, and looking down into my little magical window down here, it says brightness. So that's what I'm going to be adjusting right now. And moving left and right, I can make it brighter or not so bright. And then moving up and down, I can see what else I can adjust while I'm here. I can adjust contrast. Again, left and right, I can adjust contrast. Or I can adjust saturation. And again, moving left or right, I can adjust that. If I say that that's great, but now I want to do this one, I just click on that. And again, left and right to adjust, up and down to move between the adjustments. I don't want to keep any of those adjustments, so let's go back. Now, while you can do certain adjustments in certain areas of your image with the Selective Adjust section, you can also adjust your entire image by going to Tune Image. You have a lot more flexibility here as well. You can do brightness, You can also do Ambience. Ambience will adjust the shadows in your image. So as the title suggests, Ambience, you can like darken the shadows and give you a more, I don't know, moody ambiance. You can also adjust contrast and saturation and white balance. With white balance, the little slider down here is a little bit different. You actually can see the different white balance settings that you can slide over to, or you can kind of customize it a little bit if you go all the way to the left over here between these little colors. My white balance looks pretty good, so let's undo what I just changed there. And let's change the contrast a little bit. It's super harsh. It was the middle of the day when my friend took this photo for me. And let's just decrease the contrast a little bit. I don't know, just makes it look a little less harsh. So let's apply this change. We apply it, it processes the image, and it takes me right back to where I can go and tune the image some more. Next we have straighten the image. To straighten the image, just use a finger to straighten it. You can also rotate the image all the way left or all the way right. I don't need to do that though, so let's go back. Next we have crop. Now with cropping, first you want to choose a ratio that you're going to crop to. You can use the free section where you can crop it just any way you want. You can use original, that keeps the original image ratio, or you can choose any of these. Let's just say I want the original, and then I go to the corner and I can use any of the corners to crop the image. And I can move it around just by, well, moving it around with my finger. I can also rotate if I want to use different cropping, or I can not crop it at all and just go back. The next section is details. In details, you have a couple of different options. You have sharpening and structure. Now with details, obviously it's details, and you might want to get in a little bit closer, so you can use a loop. So you can move this around and go to a section that you really want to get in and make sure that you are, using the details that you want. So you can either do sharpening or structure, like I said before, by going right to make it more sharp, left to make it less sharp, and then you can also do structure. Now, I don't want to do anything, so I'm going to go back. Okay, next we have the filters that are available. The first set of filters is black and white. You have a style button over here, which we haven't seen before. When you click on that, you can choose different styles within the black and white filter set. So there's a bunch of them. Some of them are more grainy, some of them are less grainy. Let's just use style 1. And you can see that I can adjust brightness by going left or right, but I can also adjust contrast and grain. So if I want to have a little bit of grain in my image, maybe make it look a little bit old or a little bit, I don't know, I guess you can tell it's not dark. You can go left or right on that too. Going back, there's a set of vintage filters. This is so popular right now. So there's style again. You have all these different styles that you can choose from. Let's just choose that one. And then you also have this texture area. So you can choose different textures for your image. And then even within this, you can adjust brightness, saturation, texture strength, the center size, which will affect the vignetting of the photo, or style strength. Now style strength, when you go left or right, that's really just going to strengthen or weaken the major elements of that style of filter. And going back, we've got a drama set of filters. Again, we have the style button, so you have a few different styles to choose from. You have brighter or darker or just the first one. And then you can choose to adjust filter strength or saturation within this one. The next one is grunge. And in grunge, you have This one's a little bit different how you adjust this. You can see down here that if you want to adjust style, which before there's always been a button over here for style, but with this one, you're going to swipe left and right to adjust the style. Or you have this cool shuffle button. This is just going to go through and randomly pick a style for you. And you can just go through and keep hitting the style or the shuffle button until you find one that you like. There's also a texture button like we saw before to adjust the texture. And then going up and down, you can adjust the style, which we were already doing, or the brightness, or the contrast, or the texture strength, or the saturation. Now, the next one is center focus. With this one, under style, you can choose a lens blur, fog, light or dark. Let's choose fog. That kind of gives us some fogginess around the edges of the image. But you can adjust the center size. So if you want more stuff to be kind of foggy, you can go left, or less stuff to be foggy, you can kind of go right. And you can also adjust filter strength. In this case, it would be strengthening the blurriness around the edges, or the fogginess in this case. Next, we have frames. If you like putting frames around your images, you can go to Style and choose lots of different, or well, a few different frames. And then, or you can shuffle through them just to see which one looks the best. Going left and right, you can adjust the frame width, or you can also adjust the frame offset. So you can make that white space bigger or smaller. And lastly, we have tilt and shift. And choosing a style, you can either go linear or elliptical. I'm going to go elliptical because I'm kind of in the middle there. And you can use the 2-finger pinch to make it bigger or smaller. And then you can see if you go left or right, you can change the transition. So the transition size for that middle oval, you can make bigger or smaller. And then going up and down, you can change the blur strength. You can change brightness, contrast, saturation, and contrast. And that is all for Snapseed. I'm obviously excited about Snapseed. And you can tell there's a lot of flexibility. If you get into it and really play with it, just remember that, you know, going across the bottom, when you open it, there's all these different options that you can do. And then once you're in one of the, let's call them settings areas, you know, just swiping up and down, you'll be able to get even more flexibility out of it. So try it out and let me know what you think.